Dan will start today.
Yeah. So just in terms of updates, Brazeau is out day-to-day, upper body. Tomasino will be coming in for him. And then Brunik will be coming back into the lineup for Dumba and Sulov's in that.
What does Harrison Brunik have to do to get more ice time, more games, or to settle his game from this point?
I mean, look, I think you've seen probably exactly what you're supposed to see with the young defenseman in the league. And I think you also need I think it's worth noting too, like for a defenseman coming in, a young defenseman, like the situation is a little bit different. Like you're like just the defensive responsibilities, things that come up. And so like we've had some days now to be able to work on some things on the ice. We've had some days now to look at different types of video with him. And so I'm excited for him coming back in and just to continue to take steps in his game. And I think, I think there's been a lot of situations that he's been in up to this point that he's continued to learn from. And so I think for him it's just going to be we want him to play too. This is also something where, especially in this league, what you don't want to have happen is you go out there and you start to overthink. And he's got to go out there and he's got to play. He skates so well. He can take away time and space. He can use his stick there defensively to end plays. He's obviously got the ability to get up into play. He's got an opportunity to join. And now it's also recognizing, when those times are. And I'm excited for him to be back in here tonight.
Dan, you've paid your dues at a lot of different levels getting to this point. Congratulations on your first year. What maybe do you know now about being a head coach at this level that you didn't know 2 months ago?
Oh, thank you for that. I think you're learning every day. It's I think for me it's taking experience as a head coach there in other leagues, which there are some obviously similarities, but then you're also learning from experiences that I had as an assistant coach in this league. Specifically learning under Peter Laviolette, who's an outstanding coach, and seeing the way he handled different situations there in our time together in both Nashville, and in New York, and I feel like those experiences help prepare me, for this position. And then as you go, I think every day you're probably just seeing new things come up, and you're having to make different decisions, and that's going to be an ongoing process. And so, I think there's definitely been some lessons already. I think, in terms of, just everything, just game adjustments, the preparation, the meetings. I mean, there's so much that goes into it. And, again, I think I was very fortunate to have the foundation that I did from the places I've been before, both as a head and as an assistant. But then, as we go here, it's learning every day. And I think that's going to be a process that you never want that.
There was a lot of penalty killing, obviously, the other night in St. Paul. Sid's ice time, which I know isn't to be America. How much goes into your thought process about, I don't want to use load management here necessarily, but making sure that those guys aren't running up to 24, 25 minutes a night?
You're talking about the penalty killers? It obviously was very low there in the last game. I mean, that's a combination of, it's a combination of a lot of penalty kills, and then also, we have one power play, and that ends pretty quickly into it, and so that definitely plays a factor. I think in terms of number of 5-on-5 shifts, I don't think that was any different, but you want to make sure, I think in those games more than anything, especially like players like him. You want to make sure that if there's not a lot of power play and there's a lot of penalty kill, just making sure that he still has the proper game flow for him to be at his best. So that was a unique game, and honestly, it's one probably I can learn from a little bit too, in terms of those. But I don't think that's going to be something you see every night.
Yeah, what do you want to see from Philip Tomasino?
Yeah, I think holding on to pucks. I think he's at his best when he's doing that. I think attacking with the puck, getting pucks to the inside. I think with Tomasino too. Like go back in the games that he has played. Like there's been some pretty good moments too. And so I think it's just kind of stacking some more of those good moments and kind of building off of those. And it's a tough situation where he's been out for a while, but he's had a great attitude. He's put in a lot of work. He's another guy too. This is part of